A rainy day in southern Ontario, Canada today, September 12th. So, Pierre Pollivare has won hands down the leadership of the opposition party, the Conservative Party of Canada. Now, my roommate, as I've often mentioned before, our politics differ. I wouldn't say considerably, but not insubstantially. I think he's from the old school way of thinking where, politicians were just a bunch of honest crooks. I won't dwell on that any further. Anyways, he came home from the weekend and he was saying, well, because there is rumor that Trudeau might call a snap election like he did last year. Because he doesn't want Pierre Poilievre to gain any more of a popular following. Now, Trudeau has already spoken out against the dangers of populism and how Pierre Poilievre propagates such populist propaganda and how dangerous it is to our democracy. Of course, the mainstream media was and is all over that. It's right-wing extremism and misogyny and all that other BS. And the mainstream media is pretty well going on to attack Pierre Poilievre. Of course, they're on the government payroll. So my roommate John's theory was Trudeau might call a snap election before Poilievre gains any more popularity. Well, I don't have much faith in that because half the country's still asleep. They still think the World Economic Forum's a tinfoil hat conspiracy thing. They still think we're operating as a parliamentary democracy. They don't realize the marriage, the signing of the supply and a demand agreement between the NDP and the Liberals has created a dictatorial regime. And my argument to Jono, my roommate, was the marriage agreement between Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh literally reads, until death do us part. Because if there were an election called tomorrow in this country, it would be the death of the Liberal Party and the NDP party as we know it. No way is Trudeau going to call an election. I can't see it. My opinion, and I have been wrong before. I'm sure I'll be wrong again. I'd like to think I'm wrong in this one, but I don't think so. If we go back a year ago to the snap election, the mainstream media billed it as Trudeau thought he was up in the popularity polls and was hoping to win back a majority government. Couldn't be further from the truth. Every poll going showed his popularity was in the tank. I think at best it was 18% at the time. I think it's like 11% now. The only people who vote for him are on the payroll. The CBC, a lot of the newspapers, and all of the bureaucrats he's put on the payroll since over the last 2 years. No, he called the last election the snap election, not because, as the mainstream media portrayed it, that he thought he could win a majority back. He did it to slip and slide out away from the Winnipeg Bio-Level 4 security lab scandal with those two Chinese members of the military, scientists, who took something from the laboratory and went back to censorship. Where was that place? Woohoo in China. How that worked, I don't know, but it did work. He managed to slip out of it, and he managed to still cling on to his minority government. And then, of course, he got married to Jagmeet Singh, and now we have a dictatorial regime. But my argument with John, the roommate, was whoever knows about Poilievre already knows. They see him as a desperate white hope, the great white hope to get rid of the regime of Trudeau. But as I keep stressing, he's powerless. the supply and demand agreement, well, Pollivare has no more say in the matter than my hat does, as far as what happens in Parliament in Canada. So I can't see it. My money solidly rides on no way is Trudeau going to call an election, nor is Jagmeet Singh going to pull the rug out from under him. That would jeopardize his pension. Jagmeet Singh and all of his crew at the NDP. If they stay in power till 2025, which the supply and demand agreement dictates they can, and I keep seeing, and again, I don't know how people don't understand this. I see it even in the comments. Pollivare's making his speech. You watch the comments. Non-confidence vote, non-confidence vote. There's no point in calling one. Jagmeet Singh just backs up Justin Trudeau, and they stay in power. There were non-confidence votes called before the formalization of the marriage, and Jaggy and crew backed up little boy Justin and crew. There's no point. Pollivare can call for a non-confidence vote every day. It'll be over in 5 minutes. They all just go, nah, we like Justin. Yeah. It's as simple as that. So, well, I'll make another video. This one's rambling on too long. About what Pollivare, what I think he's going to face when he comes into Parliament next week. How it's going to play out. But people, you've got to realize, we cannot, Pollivare cannot, no one can, effectively, well, they can call a non-confidence vote, but it gets voted down. Get your head around it. We're stuck with this guy.